You know, it's funny how some of the most ancient stories can feel like they were written just for us today. If you look closely at the Old Testament, you'll see this incredible repeating pattern. It's a cycle of human mistakes, real consequences, and, believe it or not, a whole lot of hope. So let's dive in and unpack this powerful three-act story together.
At the very heart of this pattern is a universal law that, let's be honest, we all get. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. This ancient proverb just nails it. The Bible has a name for this idea: divine retribution. It's this core principle that our choices, our actions, they actually matter.
Now hold on, because this isn't just about punishment. Divine retribution actually sets the stage for a pretty incredible three-act drama. It's the story of a God who sends out clear warnings, allows for consequences when those warnings get ignored, and then, and this is the amazing part, always leaves a door open for mercy and a fresh start.
Okay, so let's get into Act 1, the warnings. Now, to get his people's attention, God didn't just, send an email. Oh no. He sent prophets like Ezekiel, who delivered these messages in some of the most, bizarre and unforgettable ways you can possibly imagine.
I mean, we're not just talking about words here. This was like performance art with eternal stakes. And these weren't just random crazy acts. No, each one was a living, breathing parable designed to shock people back to reality. He literally drew the future siege of Jerusalem on a brick. He laid on his side for 430 days, physically taking on the weight of the nation's sin. He even shaved his head with a sword, a sign of total public humiliation, to show his people exactly what was coming for them. It was like he was living out their future judgment right there on the street.
So why all the drama? Why were these extreme warnings so necessary? Well, it's because there were all these other false prophets telling everyone exactly what they wanted to hear, that everything was fine, don't worry about it. Ezekiel said their empty promises were like slapping a coat of paint on a crumbling wall. Sure, it looks good for a minute, but it does absolutely nothing to fix the deep, structural cracks that are about to bring the whole thing crashing down.
And crash down it did. This brings us to Act 2. This is where those whitewashed walls just completely crumble, and the consequences of ignoring all those warnings become terrifyingly real.
The fall of Jerusalem was just horrific. The prophet Jeremiah, who saw it all happen, used this kind of gut-wrenching poetry to describe the scene. The city, once a queen, was now like a lonely widow. Its value, once like pure gold, was now totally tarnished and worthless. And its last king, Zedekiah, was forced to watch his own sons be executed right in front of him before the Babylonians blinded him. The prophecies, they came true in the most brutal way possible.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. God actually judged his own people, Judah, differently than he judged the people who conquered them, Babylon. See, Judah was held responsible for idolatry because they knew God. They had a relationship with him, and they deliberately walked away. Babylon, on the other hand, was judged for something more universal, for just violating the basic human conscience with their insane pride and cruelty. It's a hint that God holds everyone accountable, but the standard can change based on the truth you've been given.
And the finality of Babylon's judgment? It was sealed with another one of these incredible symbolic acts. To show that even the most powerful empire in the world would have to answer for its arrogance, the prophet Jeremiah wrote down the prophecy of their doom, tied it to a rock, and chucked it into a river. The message couldn't have been clearer. Just like that stone, Babylon was going down, and it wasn't coming back up.
Now, it would be a pretty depressing story if it ended there, right? But here's the thing about the Bible. Judgment is almost never the final word. And that brings us to Act 3, the promise. Because after the fall, after all the consequences, there is always a path back to hope.
The prophets all agreed that the root of the problem wasn't just, bad behavior. It was something deeper. It was a bad heart. And they used this really powerful metaphor for it. Humanity, they said, suffers from a heart of stone.
So what does a heart of stone feel like? Well, it's hard. It's cold. It's stubborn. It's that spiritual condition that just always insists on its own way, which, as we've seen, leads to rebellion, disobedience, and, in the end, total self-destruction. This was the core issue that rules and warnings could never really fix on their own.
So what's the solution to a heart of stone? It's something absolutely radical. It's not just about forgiveness. It's about a complete and total inner transformation. God makes this unbelievable promise. He says he's going to perform a spiritual heart transplant. He's going to take out that hard, rebellious heart of stone, and he's going to give his people a brand new heart of flesh.
And a heart of flesh is everything the heart of stone is not. It's soft, it's alive, it's responsive to God. It's a heart that can actually feel sorry, a heart that wants to follow God's ways,
a heart that can finally restore that broken relationship. This right here is the ultimate message of hope in the whole story, that anyone, no matter how hard-hearted they've become, can receive this inner renewal.
So this ancient pattern of warning and consequence and then hope, it's a powerful story, for sure. But what does it have to do with us, here and now? How do we take this ancient wisdom and apply it to our lives?
Well, this old idea of idolatry isn't really about bowing down to statues anymore. For most of us, it takes the form of invisible idols. This is what happens when we take a good thing, like our career, a relationship, success, or even a hobby, and we make it the ultimate thing. It becomes the thing we lean on, the thing we trust in for our identity and our security, instead of God.
And that really leaves all of us with a pretty crucial question to ask ourselves. When you look at your own life, at your schedule, your bank account, your deepest passions, what truly gets first place? By understanding this ancient pattern, we can start to see the patterns in our own lives a little more clearly. And maybe, just maybe, we can recognize that constant invitation to turn away from the things that break us and instead receive a new heart that truly brings us life.